country.
Well,
I mean, we're discussing it on the #1 sports show in America, not because of anything Prime has done on the field, because quite frankly, he hasn't done very much. Off the field, he's lost most of his team. Deion looks very small and petty here. And the entity that looks worse than Coach Prime is the University of Colorado for sanctioning this.
That was Paul reacting to the news that the University of Colorado had effectively decided to silence a reporter because of the critical comments he wrote about head football coach Deion Sanders. The university confirmed Friday that it would no longer take questions from Denver Post columnist Sean Keeler at football-related events. Coach Prime said this about Paul on RG3's new podcast, Out of Pocket. He's talking about us. How can we be irrelevant and you're talking about me? Every time I turn around, somebody's sending me a quote that you're talking about me. All right, there's my guy. Hi, Paul. Good morning. All right, the saga continues. The saga continues, Paul. What's your response to what Deion had to say on RG3's pod?
Listen, he wasn't reacting to what I said that you just got through playing. I didn't hear anything in Prime's response about whether or not he was a bully or a hypocrite or why he won't let certain people ask questions. He was talking about something I said 5 or 6 weeks ago about the University of Colorado really being an irrelevant program without him, which was a compliment. So Molly, it didn't mean very much to me because it was a fairly irrelevant reaction. He did say something that I agree with. He called me a dying breed in the profession, which I'm proud of because I really do believe that the media should be treated with respect and not have selective persecution like he is using out there, not only with this reporter from Denver, but other reporters as well.
A couple of things here. First off, and we're as guilty as anybody, the whole world, because Colorado won at TCU last year, went gaga over Deion and the Colorado program. If you go look at the finished product, that product was a disaster. They didn't make a bowl game. They weren't over 500. And Sports Illustrated made him the Sportsman of the Year. What? Sportsman of the Year for a team that goes 5-6. How was he?
He brought a lot of new eyeballs to college football.
But he's not the Sportsman of the Year.
I'm just saying, he's a superstar. He brought a lot of new eyeballs to college football. His son's the star quarterback.
All right. At the end of the day, what was the final record?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, to start it off, it was high. He had all celebrities there at the games.
I get it, and I understand there was some juice there, and I watched Colorado USC bet him and everything else, wanted to support him. But the end result was not very pretty. So that's number one. You got to be fair. I mean, they didn't even finish 500, and he was on the cover of. He was the Sportsman of the Year. I mean, how in the world did anybody think last year that the Sportsman of the Year?
Well, you heard him. Everyone's always talking about him. You heard him.
That's which is, and listen. He came in the studio last March. I had a great interview with him. I've been a big fan. He's a great baseball player. I get it. But hold on now. Anytime you start attacking the media and telling the media you can't ask a question, this is a columnist. This is not some guy, from the Fort Collins Times. This is the Denver Post. It's a huge paper. You're going to come up small when you start saying that. You can come to our games and you can be around, but you can't ask the head coach a question? I mean, come on. I mean, Deion's got to be bigger than that. I mean, geez, you're afraid to answer a question? And I don't know anything about the reporter. So, I mean, is he taking unnecessary shots? I can't answer that. I'm not out there.
They say he's taking unnecessary shots. They say that it's gotten personal. They say that, they brought up racial insensitivity when it comes to him in terms of his reporting and his words on.
But if that's the case, Steve,
family, that's what they say.
Well, then kick him out of the program entirely. He's still allowed to go to the games, go to all the practices. If he's been that detrimental, he's not allowed on Colorado campus. Do it that way, almost like he's doing it halfway. You got to answer the questions from the reporter. It's one question a week, and if you don't answer it, you look small.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people think right now.
Well,
about Deion.
let me take it from here. Deion Sanders is a friend of mine. I've known him for decades. Got a lot of love for him, and I know a lot of things about him that the average person doesn't know because I'm one of the people he trusts enough to communicate with on that level. Having said that, I'll be right here on national television, and you can put Paul Finnebaum up on the screen as well, please, so I can see him. He's wrong. He's wrong about Paul Finnebaum. Let me tell you why he's wrong about Paul Finnebaum. Because that same man that's on that screen right now that Deion Sanders was talking about is the same Paul Finnebaum that has praised Deion Sanders on many, many occasions, including last year, talking about the attention that he brought to college football, how much it was much needed. How the scarcity of black coaches in the history of college football, what he did to elevate the profile of African Americans and what they could do in the sport of college football. The person who came to primetime Deion Sanders' defense was Paul Feinbaum. And so when Deion Sanders, who's very popular for telling you, bring your receipts, know what you're talking about, do your homework, et cetera, it may have behooved him to do his homework on Paul Feinbaum when it comes to him. Because even though Paul Feinbaum was critical of him the other day and last week, for most of last year, Paul Feinbaum was praising him. Paul Feinbaum talked about how he deserved the job at Florida State. Paul Feinbaum talked about how it would be great if he were in the SEC and he had a hold of a better program as opposed to being in Boulder, Colorado. So as much as I love my brother Deion Sanders, and he is my brother, and I love him to death, I also love Paul Feinbaum, all right? And I know that Paul Feinbaum has come to his defense on many occasions. So in that regard, as it pertains to what Deion had to say about Paul Feinbaum specifically, respectfully, you're wrong. He's wrong about that. Now, having said all of that, here's what I would say to you, Doggy, and everybody else. Deion Sanders got to win football games. That's true. Can't lose 6 straight. Can't lose 8 of your last 9 games. Can't go 4-8 and think that you're not going to get criticism, especially when you started off the season beating TCU, who was the national runner-up at